Hey guys, it's Tate McRae here, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
Congratulations with Billboard. You just charted Hot 100, and that, for a new artist, that's like incredible. Like, what does that mean to you?
Literally the craziest thing ever. I woke up one morning and I was like, Billboard followed me. What? And then I like looked at their tweets and I was like, come on. This is ridiculous. Like it was like you're right underneath the Billboard and then like last week it cracked like number 87 or something. So, which is insane. Like that doesn't even feel real. Like that's crazy.
When you first released that song, like, what was it about that song that, like, you knew, like, this is gonna be my next single?
Um, I think it was just because it was a really personal writing session with just me and a girl who wrote this song, Victoria. And then there's this other producer in the room who's just playing these really pretty keys throughout like the whole time. And it was the chillest session ever. Went by super fast and was really easy, but just seemed like it was literally just stripped back and strictly what was on my mind that day and nothing else. No other opinions, no other extra nonsense. It was literally just like a song that I wanted to write that was just me and this girl. And I don't know, it just feels really good when a song that's so close to you and that you wrote yourself is connecting with people.
That was one of the things that really like caught my attention about your music and more specifically your songwriting. And it's like, I know there's a big age gap between you and I, but like, and I know that you your audience is more around your age, but the way that you write kind of speaks to all volumes and all ages. And I feel like that's something that's so difficult to kind of do. I feel like it's easy to write about, high school and stuff, but it's hard to write about high school and then still be able to like hit all the, all other ages. How did you learn, how did you first learn how to write the way that you do? And like, what was that like artist development like before you kind of figured out like this is my sound, this is my style?
Well, honestly, ever since I was like 10, people have always told me that oldest old. Like I'm like a 40-year-old trapped in a 10-year-old body, which is just kind of weird. But I just like I've always kind of been like that. I my brain works like that. My brain is always working a mile a minute every single second of the day. So I think I'm just constantly observing and dissecting things in my head and then putting it into a song, and that's how my writing works. Is it's basically just my outlet and my therapy, and that's why I think my sound I don't even know how to describe it because I just rely on the lyrics to be my lane. Like my voice and my lyrics are what my lane is. Everything around it I think is just like changes with the times and changes with what I like that month or what I'm into. And I'm never going to change how I write my lyrics and my process and how much time and thought I put into my songs.
You lay your emotions out to your audience. Vulnerability is like huge with your music, and again, that's another like style in songwriting, or that's another thing about songwriting that like not every artist is comfortable doing, especially when you go into the studio with a brand new producer or a brand new team and just like, here's my life, this is what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
How did you learn to get comfortable with vulnerability? And what were some of those challenges that you kind of faced in the beginning?
Well, when I was younger, I've been a dancer my entire life, and as a dancer, you're constantly being told to do what you're told, and you don't do anything else. Like you're literally just have to do exactly what the choreography is and do exactly what your teacher says. So I grew up like that, and that kind of made me into a major perfectionist. I would never want to make a mistake, never want to say anything wrong. Like it was very that was like what I stressed about. And I went on this show So You Can Dance when I was 12. And that's where I got put on camera, got interviewed. Like, it was just a full whirlwind for being 12. Um, and, I watched it back. I watched the season back after, and I was like, oh my gosh, I look like I planned out every single thing I said. And that's not my personality. And, I was like at home, I was so like just myself and a goofy kid. And, as soon as I watched myself back on interviews, I was like, what is this? I mean, then again, I was 12. Like, you think about it, I was really young. But I think after that, even through my dancing and my singing, I kind of just learned that, it only matters if I care about it. And it only matters what I think and if I like what I'm doing. And I think that kind of, evolved me into a way more individual performer and a soloist, and something that, brought out the inner parts of me that I didn't really know was there when I was younger. So, and I think that's really important to me when I get into writing sessions, is not holding back with your lyrics and making sure that you're just putting everything out there.
And as you like just released your latest single, "Don't Be Sad," which is another vulnerable song, another personal song to you. Like um, I feel like "You Broke Me First" was personal, and then every other song after is just like another step into your life and another more personal, deeper kind of thing, situation you're kind of talking about. What kickstarted or inspired "Don't Be Sad" in the first place, and like who was the team behind it as well, like production and co-writes, if you had any of those?
So I was in the room with this guy named Kinetics. His name's Jeremy, but we call him Kinetics. And then Lars, and then who was the producer? Oh, and then this year it actually got like really produced by this guy named Blake, who did "You Broke Me First." And it was like 2 years ago that I wrote this song, a year and a half ago, like a while. And I was scrolling through Pinterest. I'm always scrolling through Pinterest when I'm in writing sessions to like spark your brain. And then I saw this one photo and it was like, "Don't Be Sad." And I was like, that's a cool title. Like, that would be pretty sick. Um, and then we got into this conversation in the room of things like, you wouldn't say "don't be sad" to a person who's depressed, or you wouldn't say "don't be anxious" to a person who has anxiety. It's like things like that people and teachers and therapists think they need to say. Just be happy, you'll be fine. But it's a lot of things. It's much deeper than that for a lot of kids and a lot of people. And I kind of wanted to touch on that in a song because I'd been writing a lot of love songs, and push myself in that way and try and hit a different um, part of myself that I didn't really know I could talk about.
The fact that you talked about a subject like that, is that something that you yourself kind of have to like remind yourself or kind of battle with at the same time?
I mean, I think that I'm generally a pretty like happy person. Um, there obviously is a lot of stress, and you put a lot of pressure on yourself. And there's a lot of ups and downs, especially with social media. It's a scary place. And, I don't know, I have a love-hate relationship with it. I love fans, and I love people who are supporting you, and I will constantly, appreciate that. But I think there's a whole different side of social media that can mess with you really, really badly. Um, but I think that's just, you have to teach yourself how to deal with it, because it's the new normal. And it's how the next couple of generations are going to grow up, is strictly through social media, which is terrifying, but also you have to deal with it. So
And the song is already like raw on its own, and it's already pretty like deep on its own, but then you chose to as far as like sonics go, you chose to like keep it just to a piano instead of like adding other instrumentation. And on top of that, like you released this video with it, and it's just like your facial expressions, and that like immediately I I don't know, I got hooked with the video because I personally felt like you were looking at me dead in the eye and talking to me because of
yeah.
your expressions. Like how, what was that creative process for you like? And was it your idea to keep it as simple as the piano and focus more on your vocals?
Yeah, I definitely am a big fan of like stripped back versions of everything. I don't like overpowering production, especially with my voice, because I do think I have a specific tone that just like doesn't need to be overpowered by the music. Um, but then for the video, and there wasn't really anything we could do with the music video, and I was originally like envisioning like me in a therapist office, like talking to someone who like, and then creating this whole dance video, but I almost love it even more that it was something so simple, and I ended up just being my face, because then it actually felt like you were straight on, dead on talking to me, and exactly what was going through my head, which is the super sick part, and I think why this has been a bit of a blessing in disguise, because it makes you think outside the box sometimes.
And I feel like that, as you mentioned, like that is a blessing in disguise. Like, how do you feel like this whole year has kind of impacted your creative process, or like even the way that you are you know, coming into the sophomore EP, like how has that been impacted because of like everything that's gone on with 2020?
It's definitely made me more like calm about things because I've been in my bedroom and nothing actually feels like it's actually happening. If I was like traveling the world right now and doing all this stuff, I would be like stressed out of my mind. Um, but you know, it's so chill, and I think that's actually really cool because I can just create and just write and just film and put it out there. And then numbers in social media doesn't really scare me because I feel like I've been out there for so long. And I feel like I've just put my whole life online, especially through YouTube and stuff. So you know, releasing stuff doesn't scare me. Uh, it's 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 been weird. Like I think it's just obviously like forced you to put your head down and just get put out as much content as you can and write the best songs that you can over quarantine, which I think is a hard thing to do when you're just by yourself.
And you did mention for Don't Be Sad that Lars was also involved with the process. I believe you've worked with him many times before. What is it about Lars that, you know, you guys have that kind of chemistry that he's with you throughout majority of your music?
Well, Lars and Kinetics are two writers that they were my first ever, like, one of my first ever writing sessions. And I remember I went to New York, wrote at Warner Chapel in this big building, and for a week straight, or 2 weeks straight, I just did writing sessions with them, that whole group. And I just, like, loved them. And I feel like once you fall in love with, like, writers and how they make you feel in a room and the vibe, it's like you are constantly searching for that again. And I think that's why you keep going back to them because they can pull something out of you that a lot of other writers can't.
And have they been part of this upcoming EP? Like, are they majority of the team behind this EP?
Um, well, I'm still figuring out like which songs to pick for the second EP. It's been kind of hard because I haven't gone to work with them in like Zoom sessions and writing. But I think there's maybe one or two songs on there that we all worked on, which is fun.
So where do you see the evolution of Tate for this sophomore EP? Like, do you feel like there's a drastic evolution from your debut, or whether it's like your singing or your songwriting, or even like the types of like things that you're talking about?
I think the weirdest part right now is that everything is so up in the air, and it's not like you can make a plan. You can't be like, I'm going on tour in March, or I'm gonna go perform at this festival, or something like that. Like you just don't know what's going on. So you know, honestly, I would hope that tour can happen again, and I can start performing at some events for real, and being in person with people, getting into real sessions again. Um, Hopefully work on an album, but I think like right now at home you just don't know, and that's why you can't really like have any expectations for anything at the moment. Just continue to write and put stuff out there.
So in your, you know, in the past, like you've been a major dancer. Like, what was that transition period like for you from dancing to like actually pursuing music as a, you know, an artist, and like an artist that's under a major label?
Um, I think the dance industry definitely prepped me for a tough skin. You know, it definitely gave me that discipline and motivation, and I will not stop until you know, I like it and I love it. And that's why in the studio I'll probably go for as long as I could until someone stops me. And I think that's just the dancer mentality. You push until you're like dead, and it's like hardcore. Um, and you know, I think that's actually kind of a cool thing to have is that your work ethic never stops, and that's the only way that you're gonna be satisfied with what you do, is if you just start constantly working, and it'll eventually pay off. It just I think the transition definitely prepped me and um, helped me as a person and figure myself out.
As I mentioned earlier, your songwriting is, there's so much vulnerability coming out of your lyrics, and you know, you get so deep with your music, and you release this to your audience. And I feel like from the moment that I first heard you, and then now that you released "Don't Be Sad," like this idea kind of popped in my head a little more, and I would love for you to kind of collaborate, whether it's on a full song or like on a songwriting session with Sasha Sloan, who's also on RCA Records. So I feel like you guys both like have that same kind of mentality when it comes to songwriting.
I love her. I think her music is great. And obviously I want to start meeting more RCA artists because they have so many sick people on that label. It is crazy. I want to for sure meet a lot of them.
So what's next for you now that, you know, Don't Be Sad is out, the video is out as well. This has been, 2020 has been like a pretty busy year for you, but at the same time, there's been a lot of great things coming out of it. So what else can fans expect for Tate?
Well, a new song's coming out very soon, beginning of October.
Nonstop.
And I'm very excited. It'll be really cool. We just shot a music video this weekend for it, so it'll be very exciting. And then a couple weeks after that, not a couple, like a month after that, I'll hopefully release the next single,
Wow.
and then we'll go to Christmas.
So did Jeremy Zucker finally happen as far as the collab goes?
No, I wish. Oh my gosh, I love him.
Congratulations once again with Billboard and with Don't Be Sad, and I definitely can't wait for more music from you. Like I mentioned, like your music speaks to so many more people than just like your fans out there, and that's incredible. I feel like that's hard to nail.
Thank you. That means a lot.